Welcome to the Trades Podcast, a podcast about the business of home improvement and promoting the trades to young adults. In this podcast, we talk with business owners, educators, and professionals about the benefits, skills, and related experiences of the home improvement business. Tips to help you with being successful from entry into the trades or established business owners. In this podcast, we hope to influence some young adults that the trades, as a career, is a great option leading to full and prosperous life. I'm Danny Torres, an MC, DJ, and podcaster, inspiring young adults by shining light onto career opportunities in our world today.
And I'm Jeff Mudd, home improvement contractor, writer of the Millionaire Carpenter series, and podcaster.
Stay tuned to 15 to 20 minutes of insightful tips.
Happy days, everybody, here today. This is the TradesPodcast.com. I'm DJ Danny.
And I'm Jeff Mudd, contractor. Ready for a great show today.
That's right. Another show right here at the BBB Ignite Podcast Studios, ladies and gentlemen, in beautiful San Diego, California. And we have a wonderful special guest here today. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Welcome in. So glad that you're here with us. Let everybody know who you are, your business, and give us a little background on it.
Perfect. Okay, so let's just start with the square one. My name is pronounced Dana Banana. It's the only way to say it together so that everybody gets it because it's spelled just the same as Dana. And my husband and I own a brick and mortar, trades business, very niche in that we come in and we put that custom closet, garage cabinets, epoxy flooring. Those are the three things we do every day. But then we also can deck out your pantry, your home office. Home offices have been huge during COVID because everybody started working from home. They all wanted a Murphy bed. They all wanted a desk. And so those are just a few of the things that we do, every day. And have been doing it almost 8 years here in San Diego.
Fantastic.
Tailored Living is a franchise, and so we own territory in the city of San Diego, within the county of San Diego.
Great.
Very good. So 8 years, survived COVID. Doing well, I hope.
We did. It was, I have to say that COVID was funny because I'll never forget when that mandate came down from the governor and, we all were like, okay, we're closed. Everything closes. That was a Friday. I laid all my staff off. And then I start getting text messages on Saturday that says, well, you're considered essential personnel. So I'm like, well, that's a stretch. And they said, no, really, construction is essential. I'm like, yes. So I called all my employees back and I did lose. I had about 10 at the time and I lost 5 because of there was so much fear around COVID. And so not only did my business begin to boom, give it about 2 weeks, people kind of sat on, remember we were told it's only going to be 2 weeks.
Right.
And so, like a 3-hour tour on Gilligan's Island. And 2 weeks later, people start calling and they're like, okay, we can't wait anymore. We want our closets. We want our garages. We want everything. And the boom started. And then finding employees in the midst of all of that.
Yeah.
And I was competing with the government.
Yeah, it was already hard, and then COVID made it a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
A lot worse.
So.
Yes. Yeah. So I can say we survived, and it was probably one of our best years. Not our best year on the employee side, but definitely our best sales year due to all of the
Fantastic
projects.
Yeah, a lot of home companies have grown this last couple of years. So
For sure.
hopefully it keeps going.
Yes, that would be nice.
And are you? You mentioned you were at 5 during COVID. Has that grown since then? And
we're getting ready to hire our 12th employee
nice.
as of I believe I'm bringing her on board May 1st. So just a little bit about our structure. We have the install team, the production side. That's my husband's in charge of that side. So all the installers, warehouse manager, and then on my side I have 2 designers currently. And then I'm adding a 3rd designer. And then we also have an office receptionist that answers our phones, does all of our contracts. Our warehouse manager is a female, which is pretty phenomenal because she not only does she manage the whole warehouse, she does all of our building. She's training right now to install. She loves installation. And, it was just a godsend that we found her. But so we've got a really great team. And we're trying to add to it. Now, we had talked a little bit before we started the podcast about culture and how important culture is currently. It's funny because I'm soon to be 55. And so, I'm almost older than that cultural generation. It was like, just go to work and get your job done and come home. But employees don't want to just go to work and get their job done. They want something more. They want to feel a part of something bigger in this younger generation. And so how do we build that? And we have done pretty well at that. I actually hired a consultant a couple of years ago and brought him in. And one of his things is championing the cause of building culture. And so the hard part is we have a great culture, bringing new people in. Because everybody's like, oh, we like our culture. We like our people. And when you start adding, it kind of shifts the culture a little and makes everybody feel a little bit uncomfortable. So we get everybody involved in our hiring process as much as we can. We do something that we, bring in, do an interview, and we do a working interview. We pay the person for the day and say, come on out, work with us for the day. Let's see how you fit in.
That's great.
And that's really helped us with
very, very good.
Bringing people in.
A lot of employers are scared to do that because you have to do all the paperwork first.
You do.
And
it's worth it, though.
You put them on the payroll and you take chances right off the get. But in the long run, yes, I'd agree with you.
You've got 90 days.
Yeah. Can we circle back? You
Sure.
said your warehouse manager. She does all the builds. What is the build?
So when we go out basically from start to finish, we get a phone call from somebody who found us on Google or Yelp or, any number of places. And the receptionist books the appointment. The designer goes out, provides, measures all the space. We provide a very basic design. We do generally a follow-up Zoom call to kind of show them the 3D. We have a 3D software. And then let's just say they're like, let's do it. Let's move forward. We start the process of getting that into moving it into to the manufacturer. So then once it's in the manufacturing, it's all shipped on a pallet. So we send us this file. That according to the file, they send us all the parts. When it comes to melamine, we work with melamine. It's received in the warehouse in just a gigantic 28 to 100 to 3,000 pound pallet. And then it's her job to unpack it all and figure out where it all goes. Because sometimes it all comes together and there's multiple projects on one pallet. And if it's garage cabinets, we build those in the warehouse. And if it's a closet, we really can't build a closet. A closet it's not cabinetry, so to speak. It's, panels on a wall. So that all gets parted out on carts and, staged on carts, I guess I should say. And then on the day of installation, we load it in our big trucks.
So she puts cabinets together.
She does.
Packages everything to make sure that when you show up on site, everything's there. There's no surprises. And you're missing this one in piece, and we're going to have to come back in 3 weeks or whatever.
Exactly.
Very good.
And I will say that does happen, and especially because of supply and demand issues that we're all facing in the trades world right now. Everybody's working at a breakneck speed, and even our manufacturers, and they've let a few things slip through the cracks that in the past had not happened. And so we're actually receiving our product earlier so that we can then stage it. And if there's something missing, get it ordered before and on the next truck before it ends up, we're like, well, sorry, we're not going to have half of your closet. Yeah. And we've done that before, and it's not fun for the client and it's not fun for us. Yeah. So we're trying really hard to mitigate that before it ever happens.
All right. So did you see where I was digging though, Dana? Is you've got a female working in the warehouse doing essentially a construction job.
Right.
It's a very niche construction job. So there's opportunities everywhere. You just got to start 100%. Asking more questions. So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, no, and you're right. We actually, so part of our company, we have a flooring division. And when I say flooring, it's epoxy flooring.
Yeah.
And we hired about 3 years ago, we had a female hired as our lead flooring, and it's backbreaking work. You go out there with a grinder and you're on your hands and knees sometimes in the corners. And, there's a lot of moving parts, and she had to drive a truck and a trailer, and she had a helper who was a guy, and she did great. And then she got a job as I think she's a deputy now in a prison, like a, prison guard. And so that was one of her dreams. And so we blessed her and said, yes, we want you to do what you want to do. But it was really fun having her, and she communicated so well with the clients. So we're always on the lookout for females who have a desire to learn the trades business.
Absolutely. On a side note, I was just at the International Builder Show in Florida a couple weeks ago, and that's one of the talks that they had is us as an industry, construction industry, is really missing out on two huge demographics, females and minorities.
Very much so.
So
Yeah.
there's lots of opportunities out there.
Yes. And I will say that as a female working with my husband, business owner, we are two equal parts. We have very clear boundaries in our business. In order to save our marriage, we had to come up with very clear boundaries. And so I try not to, run into his lane, but think about it as me as a designer. At times, I'm designing something that he's going to have to go out and install. So there is sometimes a little clash. But what I've really seen is the power of our partnership beyond marriage. Mm-hmm. And there are things that a woman does that are so different from a man. And then there are things that a man does that are so different, and they're so powerful together. And when I'm working with contractors who don't have any women on their staff, there's a real struggle with timelines, struggle with things that come naturally to us. And as I'm working with them, sometimes I'll often say, you're going to hit it out of the park when you get somebody equal to you, not your office receptionist, but somebody equal to you making decisions, because women can make equal decisions and they just bring something to the table that.
Absolutely. I was just thinking, you got a husband and wife team. You don't go home after dinner and it's like, man, my installation department manager really messed up today.
Exactly. No, we don't say that. No. Yeah, it's good. But although we do talk, I will say this morning, my husband woke up. I had shown him a design yesterday, and he woke up at 5:00 this morning. He goes, I don't think that countertop's going to work over that. And I haven't even opened my eyes yet. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, remember the design that we were talking about last night? I thought about it last night. I've been thinking about it all night. It's not going to work. I'm like, can I get my coffee first?
Yeah.
That's what it's like. I need my toast.
I can relate to that.
Right.
And that's great. I mean, we're touching base on, as you and your husband as business owners. Yeah. I know it's a big thing for everybody that, there's a certain, I guess, view that people have on business owners on how they run their business, what they do on the outside of their lives. But from your experience, what is it like being a business owner right now?
Oh, goodness. I am so thankful to be a business owner. I'm not going to go into any sort of politics, but in the last 2 years, it has cemented the fact that it was super important that I myself be in my own business and not in someone else's. And with that, someone else saying, you have to do this, or you have to do that, or you have to. And so that has brought me such joy, because I don't live in a fear-based world where I've heard employees who are very fearful of some of the things that are happening, come into work, don't come into work, come into work, all the different things. And we were very cautious with our employees because we didn't really know how to navigate all of the COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. And we just began asking them, how do you feel about this? We are not the be all end all, but how do you feel? How does our client feel? Mm-hmm. So it definitely has been very nice owning a business.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. We have at Best Rate Repair, have a huge HR department that we outsource, and they were confused.
Correct. I do the same, and they were very confused.
Yes, the rules were changing so fast.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I was working in a side job during the COVID, and it definitely was very everyday updates, and it just, how do you really communicate, especially if you have over even 10 employees on that aspect. It's super hard to understand and really get a hold of. But if you want to dive in a little bit more on the business owning side,
sure.
As business owners within the trades industry, I'm not a part of that. But if I was an employee looking at my my boss and really wanting to know exactly who that person is, how do you get that message across as a business owner to your employees?
It's funny because we always talk about, customers, clients, whatever you want to call them. As a business owner, your client is not the person you're trying to sell to, or customer you're trying to sell to. Your customer is your employee and the person you're trying to sell to. So you've really got to embrace the fact that, you can't run your employees into the ground, and you've got to embrace where they're at. There was several, I'm almost 55, and so there were several when we first started our business. There was all about, oh, good luck, have fun with the millennials. And, we have almost all millennials working for us, and they're pretty freaking amazing. And, we had to kind of figure out the verbiage and, the culture and how does this all work. And we just have a good time. Now, I am sure if they were sitting here today, some of them would say, no, we don't really always have a good time. We don't, right? But we try to bring in things that are exciting for them. We get them involved, and we ask their opinion on things that are going on at work because they really want to provide their opinion. And sometimes we say, you know what, I can see your point, but big picture, it's not quite going to work that way. But I think for us, we've really valued the fact that it's hard to blend generations. It's always been that way. This isn't a new thing. Yeah. I've heard it from my dad's generation, from my grandma's generation, all those years. Oh, you have no idea what it was like to. And so we all carry that. And so I really try to stay very far away from that, getting caught in that trap. To me, it's a trap. Yeah. Because then if I start believing that all millennials are whatever the current trend is, or whatever, I think they're called Gen Zs or whatever they're called now, but the younger generation, because we do have a couple of those too. And, they're great. And we expect that from them. Yeah. We don't have any other expectation that they're going to come in and pull their weight and do their job. Yeah. And so we do get them involved. They love videos. I mean, we have a, I guess it would be called a text thread. And throughout the day, we'll get the most random, strange pictures, especially from our flooring guys, because they'll go to grind a floor and somebody's written their name in the floor and they reveal it as they're grinding. There's, maybe one of the workers that was there laying the floor initially wrote their name in there, but it wasn't evident until they started grinding. And so they'll send us like, oh, look at the message we got today, and so it's just fun. They'll find crazy things along the way and send us pictures and videos, and it's just a way to stay connected. It seems small, but makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of, as a true millennial that I am, it's a huge thing for, when you are in that type of environment with more employees and with you're interacting directly with the business owner on a daily basis and everybody that might be on the field, that communication aspect really goes a long way. Because we talked about it where it really does build the culture around everybody of kind of get to know each other on a personal level, but we're still working. We still have business to do. Right. But there's those small little moments where you can kind of get away from it and just have a laugh with everybody. I think it's important for a lot of business owners to kind of implement those type of communication, within the company with their employees.
It was really fun. I'm not segueing because this goes right along with that, but I wrote a book called Hot Mess to Not Mess. And all the boys wanted to read it, and it was written for women. And so I when I got the copies and I brought them in and I said, we're going to have a book report next week. And so my husband spends all of his time with them. I don't spend much time with them because I'm out in the field meeting with clients. And so he starts texting me questions that they have about the book. And it was just so much fun. So then it was time at Christmas, we elfed all of our staff. And so everybody went from wearing our traditional gray or blue or, to red. And not quite our brand, but it was, we wanted everyone to have hats with their names on it that were elf hats and all this stuff. And so one of the guys on the team said, I want Hot Mess to Not Mess hashtagged on the back of our shirts. He goes, I feel like it needs to be hot. I think that needs to be part of our brand. You wrote a book about it. And so you guys, it was hysterical because I turned it in to the guy that does my t-shirts and he does not understand hashtags. So he hashtagged hot mess space to space not in space mess. So it was a hot mess of a hashtag. And so we just all laughed about it. And the boys, just the other day were like, are we going to get more t-shirts with hot mess to not mess? Because they still have the old red ones and we haven't switched them out yet. And so I just thought that was so fun that it was their idea, their brilliant idea to put my other brand on the back of their shirts.
Yeah, that's a true sign of engaged employees.
Yeah, it was good.
I want to go back. Danny, you're a millennial?
That's right. I am.
We're in our second season now, and he finally admits it. No, Danny's been great.
No, and I mean, and like you said, that's what the workforce is right now. It's a lot of millennials, the Gen Z, the new generation that's coming up, and it's going to continue, and it's going to continue with those different generations working with each other, and it's going to be crucial for the trades industry. Like we know that there's the huge Great Resignation right now, where everybody's kind of testing out the waters in different areas. But of course, it's important for you to be able to retain those employees.
Yes.
What type of candidates are you kind of looking for right now for tailored living?
It's a great question because, we have found it's a little bit harder work, but we love the guys that are just getting out of high school and they're like, I don't really know what I want to do. My parents want me to go to college. I don't really want to go. I might want to go to community college part-time, but I got to get a job. I don't really want to work fast food. And so our very first young man that we hired, we've actually hired a bunch of people, but this one showed potential right away. He was, I was in a networking group and I stood up at the networking group and asked, looking for a helper. And a gentleman in the group said, well, my stepson has, he's kind of trying to figure out what he wants to do right now. And I said, send him my way. We'll interview him. And we hired him as a helper. He was 19. He will be with us 4 years in August, and he's now our lead installer.
Wow.
Like making all the decisions,
Awesome.
with my husband. And he is brilliant. Like he's so smart and so meticulous. And I love it. He keeps his car spotless. And that's the kind of guy we want because we want to leave the client's home spotless. We could go in there. It could be a hot mess. But I always tell them we're going to leave it better than we came. And so, finding guys like him, they're out there. We just hired another guy. I just put a little thing out on Facebook in my local area that we've got like a Escondido page. Said, looking to hire a young man I did not say young man. Let me rephrase that. I said a young person who's not sure about where they're going to go in life. And immediately a mom chimes in and says, I think my son, who was working for one of the big box stores, I think he would be really good for you guys. So we interviewed him. My husband, he's probably been on board 8 months, and he's like, he's going to be a lead installer. And he's 19.
Fantastic.
And so he's already meticulous. He gets it. The hardest part for us is that with all the insurance laws and driving, it's hard to put him on insurance because he's 19 and they don't want anybody under, in commercial. And so that's been a little bit difficult, but we're working through that. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. And that's exactly who I think that a lot of business owners should be looking towards, because if you want some long-term, capabilities, then you want to go for someone that's maybe just a little younger, might not have no experience, but someone that's willing, like you said, eager to learn a new trade, specifically in, your side of the business. And if they want to possibly move on to something else, then they have that opportunity. But obviously the commitment that they need on your side, like you said, on how he's Mr. Spotless on his car.
Yes.
Hope he's driving like a Camaro or something, right?
He drives some sort of a Honda that has like pressure and it goes up and down, and
he's got
so
the
funny.
airbags.
Yeah,
Okay.
The airbags. That's
Yeah.
it. He's like, don't anybody touch my car because I've already set the airbags. We're like, okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then, kind of going into a little bit more of, I think the business owner side, I think you give a really good, insight on the business owning side. Obviously going through the pandemic and working with your husband, and as a woman in the business owning side of things, what are some things that you kind of express out to those women out there that might be looking to own their own business or specifically get into the trades?
I would love to see more women in the trades, to be perfectly honest with you. And I will say this, and this is public knowledge, so it's not a big deal, but in 2019, my husband kind of had I can't do this anymore. And remember, we're a franchise. So the corporate office recruited him to come and be their cabinet installer. I guess he was the cabinet installer for the nation. Basically, he taught all the franchisees that were coming in, all the new onboarding, all of them, how to do the job. And he did that for almost 2 years. And so I ran the business alone. he was still very much in it and his name was all over it, but he just needed a break. He needed a new perspective, so to speak. And as a woman for that 2 years, I had no one to fall back on. If one of my installers called in sick, I couldn't say, honey, you're on that job today, and we really try hard to not keep him in the field. He oversees all of it, but that was hard. Very difficult. I had to make very hard decisions. If somebody, especially during COVID, if somebody got sick, if they even had a hint of being sick, you got to stay home. And then we got to get you tested. And then but think about it, when you're a small business, it completely dismantles your calendar because we have everything booked, 6, 8, 12 weeks at one point out, maybe even 16 at one point. But so that part was hard because I felt the pressure every night. I didn't have anyone to share it with, and I was trying to keep it from him, because he's trying to do this other thing, and he doesn't need to hear my issues. And so I would say, number one, owning a business with your spouse you need a support group. And I'm looking for that support group. I've actually tried multiple times to get business owners together, husbands and wives, just so that we could all see that we're not alone. Because I will say that oftentimes when you're in the grind, you feel like there's nobody else, nobody else is experiencing this. Nobody else has a wife like mine, or nobody else has a husband like mine. And you butt heads and you speak different languages and, in the sense of we just don't understand each other. And so it's so good. It's always been so refreshing when we go out to dinner and we hear the man saying the same thing or the woman saying the same thing that we've encountered. And so get a support system if you can. You're going to need it because there is nobody. You're at the top, basically, if you're a business owner. And I would encourage anybody wanting to go into business, do it.
So just being a business owner, there's the old saying, it's lonely at the top. It doesn't matter what level you are in business. But to compound that with being a husband and wife team on a business, it's even harder because there's nobody to go to other than your partner.
Right.
And you're both experiencing the same problem. It's hard. So definitely, Dana, finding a support group, a mentor at any level of business is definitely a must do.
A must.
Yeah.
And that is something people think, I don't have time for that. You've got to make time once a quarter, even just doing dinner with another couple that understands you, because even with my good friends, they're not in business together. So they didn't understand the friction that happens because of business and the conversations that are happening at home and the frustrations. And so it's been very helpful. We are now surrounded by a lot of business owners. I got into some networking groups and really sought out those that were husband and wife teams, just for my own sanity. And my husband came a little unwillingly at first because he's an introvert and dinner isn't fun for him on a Thursday night. He's exhausted, but he began to see the benefits of just being able to voice his opinion and laughing. Yes. You have to be able to laugh. I laugh all the time. I'm the hot mess to not mess. And my poor husband spends so much time frustrated because I'm laughing at every little thing that happens. And so that is key. It's crucial in business is to laugh a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Having your humor is going to be huge just because you just don't know what is going to come your way. And if you can tackle it on and really solve it, but have a laugh over it, I think it really does help get over that little hump,
Yeah. Just to give Dana's husband a little plug, I have met him. Yes. He is a really interesting guy, and I look forward to meeting him again.
Yes, he is a great guy.
Yeah.
He is great.
Yeah,
We've been married 35 years, so I can say he's a great guy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and then and I think it really does help, really get understanding, again, on that business owning perspective. And for all our listeners of who we are trying to project this podcast to, we really want them to really understand exactly how the ones that we interview, how they got to the point where they are today. And what would be your advice to those that are listening of how would they pick a career within the trades, and how would they figure that out? And what would be just like that first step guidance for them to kind of based off of your experience, look into getting into the trades and what career to choose from?
those are such great questions, because I think what happens is, for me, it was friction in my life. I had a government contracting position. I was in a, role as a manager, managing about 175 employees. And the company literally went belly up within, I think it was probably about 7 or 8 months of, one catastrophe after another. And so it was a large company, about 11,000 employees. And it was at that moment that I said, this was back in 2012, I said, I don't want to go around this bend anymore. So I went into some consulting in the same field, and it just wasn't fun. It was a little bit, government contracting can sometimes be just, a grind. And, there's all these rules and all this stuff. And so at one moment in 2014, I woke up and I said, honey, let's look at opening our own business. We had almost opened a car wash. We lived in Virginia at the time. We were opening a car wash. We were signing the paperwork in October of 2008. And we all know what happened in October of 2008. The whole entire economy crashed. And we were going to sign the paperwork that day on the lease for the land, and we were going to build a car wash. So we knew then that all bets are off. We're going to hold, for now. And we then ended up moving out here, which we're West Coasters. I'm a 5th generation Californian, and we really wanted to get back out here. My husband's from Hawaii, and this is much closer than Virginia. And so once we got out here and got kind of comfortable, and then this all happened, I said, we've got to pick this back up again. And I was on LinkedIn one day, and a gentleman, messaged me, and I deleted it. And he messaged me again about 3 weeks later. I deleted it. And then he finally said, what if I could match your personality with a franchise? And to me, franchising was Subway. That's all I knew. Right. I didn't want to own a Subway. And as soon as I connected with this gentleman, he used personality, and that's one of my favorite things. And I'm like, ooh, he got me good. And so I listened to his spiel, and he presented a smorgasbord of franchises that were within my personality type and within our price range for my husband and I both. And we happened upon Tailored Living. And we didn't wait. That was May of 2014. We signed the paperwork in August of 2014. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there are so many amazing programs out there that you can use. We didn't go through SBA at the time, that you can actually roll your 401ks over and buy a business. It's called the ROBS program. So many. And so there is no excuse for not starting your own business. I mean, I hear it all the time. Well, what if this happens? What if that? And, we prepared for all of those what ifs. We refinanced our home because we had a little bit of equity in it at the time. And we refinanced, and we said, no cable. We're going to live off peanut butter and jelly. And it never happened. We didn't ever end up having to live off peanut butter and jelly. We actually made a profit in our first year, and we're like, whoa, we didn't think that was supposed to happen. So the trades, and it was on that uphill slope of a great economy and spend, and it's interesting today. I woke up and the stock market is all bonkers, and we've got a war, and how's that going to affect me? I don't know, but I'm going to continue to do as I've been doing, because people are still buying, and people still have money in their homes here, and so I feel like the trades right now is not going to go belly up anytime soon. And
I would agree with you.
Yeah, definitely a good time to be in the trades.
Yeah, we totally agree. And that's what, why we want to have you, and possibly we'll have your husband on the show also next time.
That'll be fun.
And it's perfect, because this is what we want it to be. We want it to be a very resourceful place for people to come in, listen to business owners like you, give a testament, huge testament to what you and your husband have achieved with Tailored Living, and just within your how you both hold yourselves together as a couple. I think it's amazing, and I think it's great for you to be on this show today. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been fun.
And we're definitely going to have all your information on the tradespodcast.com. But if anybody were going to reach out to you, want to maybe get more information about Tailored Living, or possibly a career opportunity with Tailored Living, how would we reach out to you?
A couple of ways. We've got Tailored Living North County Facebook page. We've got tailoredliving.com. And, we've also got, you can even ping us on Yelp. We're Tailored Living North County on Yelp. So feel free, you can Google us, call our office, and our office receptionist will get you straight to either myself or my husband.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
The opportunities are out there. Dana and her business is definitely an example of that. From entry level, right out of high school, she gave a couple examples of that, to working your way up to making decisions to put it all on the line and be a business owner. And there's a whole life in between as a young adult that you can choose your own path getting into the trades.
That's right.
The opportunities are out there.
Yes.
So thank you for coming on the show, Dana.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.